why don't we have a motion to open the Board of Health meeting for June 20th, 2016.
John Melcher, I so motion.
Susan Elwell, I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so first up tonight, excuse me, is an informational meeting with the Meridian Associates for their proposal for a medical office building and daycare facility at 414 Haverhill Street.
Correct.
And we have, because we have a TV audience, we have this up. I can enlarge it and change pictures as you want.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
you'll recognize what you need.
Yeah. There wasn't too many points. My name's Charlie Ware. I think this board knows me
Yeah.
from times past. Marla, I don't remember your last name.
Marla Velasquez, North Shore Physicians.
Velasquez, and she's representing the physicians. As you mentioned, this is an informational meeting. I've been discussing this with Wendy. We have submitted a septic system plan for this site. And questions were coming up, and I know Wendy says, I think the board really probably wants to talk to you. So I said, and let's do it. Let's set it up. Let's get it happening. So that's what we did. Now, she was good enough, she sent us a number of emails kind of with different questions. It's a doctor's office. It's a 13,000 square foot building, almost 14,000 square foot building. I think some of the questions she's raised, I think I can clear up pretty easily. She's questioning there's 12 physicians that will be associated with this building. We provided for actually, if you could zoom into it again.
Sure. What do you want me to?
Actually, once you go to the next page, if you go.
Okay, I'll have
see that. See the arrow that's pointed down. If you click on that, it'll jump to the next page.
Okay.
Yeah. Now this is well.
Want me to zoom up a little?
Yeah, that's fine. I think everybody knows where the site is. It's right across the street from the ballpark, right near behind the ag wall. There you go.
Oops.
So that's the next page.
Moving this side.
There you go. That's probably all right.
All right.
Because that shows the septic system. The building's here, this 13,000 square foot building. One of the things right away, I think there's a little bit of a misperception. The total number of doctors proposed in the building is 12. In the architectural plans that we provided, and we can jump to that a little later, but we show that 10,000 square feet of the building is being built out in a first phase, so to speak. And there'll be 10 doctors in that. Then there's an unconstructed piece, 3,500 square feet, is 12. So I know one of the questions, I know that you and Wendy worked together on that. The total is 12. And so it's not 12 in the 10,000 square foot, and 2 more in the addition. And the addition is still on the table right now. That was seen as being a potential urgent care unit, which is it's not an emergency room per se, but it is something that's geared a little bit more for somebody that can't wait to see a doctor. It's got to get in and see them right away. Something like somebody's either very ill or someone has sprained an ankle, or the kids have hurt themselves over the weekend, and you can go to an emergency room, or you can go and get an X-ray there. And if it's something that needs further attention, then they go to an actual hospital or emergency room. But it is urgent care for that. Now that clears up that issue that there's 12 doctors. One of the questions that was raised was that there's been a fair amount, certainly technology is racing forward with all of us, is the question that came up, well, in today's world with specialists and nurse practitioners, and how many people, it is 12 doctors at 250 gallons per doctor. Is that really a realistic number to use for the flows? And 12 doctors in this building is 3,000 gallons a day. I want to put a few, and I think that's plenty of flow. I can give this a breakdown. It sounds like I'm going to shuffle numbers. I don't want to say too much because it sounds like I'm doing a card trick after a while. But if you compare this office, 3,000 gallons a day, 13,000, just short of 14,000 square feet, an office building, which actually has probably a denser population of people in it, would be at 3,000 gallons. You can get a 40,000 square foot office building in. So it's almost triple the size of this building. It's interesting how you get to the 3,000. It's a little circle you can go in looking at an office building. An office building is based upon 1,000 gallons per day, per 75 gallons per 1,000 square feet. So that's how you, at 3,000, you divide by 75, and it's 40,000 square feet. Now, typically in an office building, and it varies from use to use, but typically you have about 5 people per 1,000 square feet, about 1 per 200 square feet. And when you do the math on that, you back in, and that would put about 200 people in that building. And then if you go to another place in Title V, you've got, if you have just a warehouse, or a lot of the uses where there's just someone working in a building all day and they don't know how to, manufacturing. You don't know how to, how do you calculate a warehouse that's 50,000 square feet, and how, you do it by the number of people that are in there. And so that multiplier is actually 15 gallons per day per person. When you plug in 200 people inside of a 40,000 square foot building, at 15 gallons per person, it brings you right back to 3,000 gallons per day. So it kind of shows in Title V, at 15 gallons per day is kind of what the average person at work uses for, if they using the bathroom, washing their hands, probably having lunch, maybe making a cup of coffee, and that's a pretty good number that people go by. In this doctor's office, there's actually a total, there's 12 doctors and there's 34 staff. So there's a total of 46 people in the building. And they if you take away the fact for a second that it's a medical office, and certainly they have 250 patients a day that come into the building. But if you take away that, I'll get back into how I can go about calculating that and telling you why I think it's a low number. The physicians and the staff that are in that building aren't really that much different than an engineering office like I'm in, or a real estate office that Ed's in. When you multiply that out, you take the 46 times the 15 gallons per day per person, and that gives you just about 700 gallons per day. So that's kind of what the staff uses for basic human needs inside a building. And so that leaves you with 2,300 gallons a day. And you take 2,300 gallons a day, you divide it by 250 patients that go through the building, and that gives you about 9 gallons per day per patient. And you start to think about, well, what is a patient? This is mostly, I think it's one of the doctors I was talking to said that this is mostly diagnostic. It's a place to go to have your vitals taken, get a physical check on on your medication. It's really doctors. I think all of us go to doctors now and see that if you need some surgery, you go into the hospital. You don't go to your doctor for that. The building, the rooms that are in this building are not. There is an X-ray room. There is a mammography room. There's also there's a bone density scanner which is in there, and these are all really just ancillary to what the doctors are already doing. You're in there seeing the doctor, and he'll say, "Well, you're here. Why don't you get your mammography while you're here?" There's also a phlebotomy, which is, and it's not a laboratory. I saw the word laboratory being bandied about. There are no laboratories in this. Certainly the blood gets taken. There is a station where blood gets taken, but it gets shipped off. And it's the same thing if they do a throat culture, it gets shipped off. It doesn't. There's no laboratories in this building. Same with the X-rays that are done, the scans that are done. Everything is digital. There's nobody's. In the old days, it was you took a picture and they had to. There were chemicals that got used it. So really these extra rooms are not. There's hardly any even extra staff associated with it, and there may be 1 or 2 extra people that would staff some of those, but a lot of the staff that's already there working for the doctors are the staff that works in those rooms. So think about get to the numbers. Like I said, about 9 gallons per day per patient. The average patient is probably coming in for a physical. Now, You know, the doctor certainly may wash their hands, and there may be even another assistant that may wash their hands as well, and maybe somebody goes up the hall and they have an x-ray done and somebody else is washing their hands. But with that 9 gallons a day, to give you a sense about it, let's say they go to the bathroom while they're there and they wash their hands. A low flow toilet is 1.5 gallons. Say the patient washes their hands. Now, it's an interesting thought. How much water do you use when you wash your hands? The average tap, if you turn it on, it takes about a minute to fill up 1 gallon of water. I think most people, are probably using far less than that, probably maybe 10 seconds, 10 or 15 seconds. So that,
Sing happy birthday.
yeah, is that what you're supposed to do? I guess my mother didn't raise me right. But anyway, so the point is even if you took the doctor washing their hands for a full gallon for happy birthday, if if a low flow toilet, the patient washes the hands, say 2 others, that brings you to 5.5 gallons. And it's still 3 or 4 gallons below that 9. It's 3.5 gallons below that 9 gallons per day per patient, which is, if you do the math out, it comes to 1,400 gallons. And this, I think, is all very heavy-handed. Frankly, I think that 1,400 is a lot less, because I don't think people really wash their hands that often, or per patient. But it
Hopefully
comes
they
down
wash them
to.
between
Yes.
patients.
Say what?
Thank you.
I think, Charlie, they do wash, I hope they wash them between patients.
Oh, they wash in between. They use a gel material, and they wash in between patients. They generally wash. But my point is I think that amount of I don't think a doctor stands there and washes his hands for a minute every single time that he has a patient. I know I've watched my doctor wash her hands, and she usually, in fact, she uses some Purell and then a little bit of water, and she's done. So my point is that I think when you really break this down, you get into it. What I just went through, I came up to with 2,100 gallons a day. That's for the staff utilizing the bathrooms and utilizing like I said, having coffee in the morning, doing everything that regular office people do, and then what the doctor's offices would use. There's no testing of the blood. There's no chemicals that are being used in this building. And Mark can certainly talk that a little bit better than I can. But there's no kind of ancillary use beyond just seeing patients and folks washing their hands.
Is there a sterilization area for anything?
So, for the most part, any processing that we do on site is really processing, and then it's sent off-site. So when we talk about sterilization procedures, I mean, we have wipe downs of the exam table beds. There is an autoclave that we use that, it is, there's some spore testing that is done, that it's sent off to the state, but there is some sterilization that we use.
So that takes a little water to wash those things
Yes.
before you.
Yes. For the most part, the speculums and so forth, they're plastic, they're disposable.
Right. There's a lot disposable now.
So when we look at the volume of procedures that require using the sterile equipment, I'd say it's probably, 1 to 2 times a day when someone that equipment is used. It would not be a volume that I would see there to be frequency of use.
Okay, Charlie, why don't you get back with your intro, okay?
Yeah, and I'll
If we have
I was-
other questions, we ought to kind of hold the questions so that we can get this done.
That's
And
fine.
then we can direct questions.
I was just to wrap up on the wrapping up thought. I wanted to walk you through just from my own beliefs about why I think that the flows are low. But I think probably the most telling piece of that is that when Title V was reinstated, I think the current Title V is really based upon, was a major code redone in '97. And there's been a number of revisions over the last, it's 20 years now. It's amazing that went by that fast. It's probably been 4 or 5 updates, and during those updates, there has been some adjustments to the flows, to different uses, particularly in, I think most recently, I think assisted living was one that was some new assigned, and elderly housing has been adjusted over the years. There's never been any adjustments to doctor's office or dentist's office, so we're going by the code on this, and I do understand, and I think it's perfectly valid question to question, gee, is that 250 gallons per day valid? And so I wanted to give a little bit of background, just thinking through why I think it's still valid. But I think the biggest probably piece of my argument is Title V still stands by the 250 gallons a day. That's still what's in the code today. So anyway, why don't you back up to the last one? Go back.
Up?
Yeah, there you go, right there.
Okay.
Yeah. The again, this is 13,000 square foot building. We've got the doctors here. We have the daycare here. They both come out and they go into this treatment. It's what's called the Waterloo system. The reason why we have the Waterloo system is we are in the drinking water supply district, which is the Zone 2. The drinking water supply district is actually we're partially in it, partially out of it. The limit of it is actually right here. So everything here is in the Zone 2. Everything to that side is actually outside the Zone 2, and that's why the septic system, the leach fields are with it. Well, this is a reserve, but this is the main leach field. I chose the leach field to be outside of the zone because that really is the requirement in the only real requirement in the Zone 2 is that you limit the volume of effluent that is produced by this, and you're allowed to do 440 gallons per day per acre, per builder's acre, which is 40,000 square feet. And make everything complicated, but 440 gallons per day per 40,000 square feet. When we take our area times the 440, we go over that allowed amount. And so what we've done is we're allowed to, with the treatment system on the front end, we're allowed to bump that up to 550 gallons per day. The one that we've used is called the Waterloo system, and basically what that does is it reduces nitrogen. The one thing that a properly functioning septic system produces is nitrogen. This certainly is phosphorus and bacteria and viruses and other things that are in those, but a properly functioning system, those get removed. Those are taken out. They're taken out both in the treatment system and within the soil strata, which is below the system. The one thing they do produce is nitrogen. So the way the state deals with that is they've actually taken, the EPA has established like a parts per million, which they believe is of having nitrogen in drinking water. Because nitrogen, there's a lot of nitrogen right in the air. But nitrogen in drinking water can be toxic. Anything can be toxic if it gets to a certain level. So they have acceptable levels of nitrogen in drinking water in parts per million. And then what the state of Massachusetts did is they backed into that and said, okay, well, if this many parts per million is acceptable in drinking water, then how much can a septic system add to that potential drinking water area? And they came to the conclusion that as long as they stayed under that 440 gallons per day per acre, builder's acre, then they would be well below the potential. It's the solution to pollution is dilution. That it would be well below any problem that could ever happen to drinking water. Now, this entire, the Zone 2 reaches, I think, all the way down to Winfrey's Fudge. The bank is within it. Everything along Route 1, McDonald's, the old gas station, the Dunkin' Donuts, all of that stuff. In fact, I think it reaches down into Ipswich, and there's even parts of the Ipswich Country Club that are within it. That's correct.
It is.
And so certainly, but if you look at really the density of use in this, just to make you feel a little bit better, the density of use that's in that area is actually extremely low to compare, because you would have to have, for example, it would be a house on every single 40,000 square feet. That's within that drinking water supply. That would put you right at where the state recommends that you don't go over. And with the density of use in that area, it's nowhere near that. But to get back to our site, we do have the Waterloo system on the front end that gives us a nitrogen reduction so that we have 550 gallons per day per acre instead of the 440. That Waterloo system is approved under the state approves alternative technologies. We've basically designed it in accordance with the state-approved permit which exists for that alternative technology. The other thing that we have on this is what's called, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called a drip disposal system. If you folks, any knowledge of those systems, you could maybe...
Just explain it, give us a...
Yeah, they're very similar to, the technology is very similar to drip irrigation. And they're like small irrigation lines, and each line is a small, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it has just a drip outlet, so that we actually pump, it comes into the Waterloo system, and then it pumps up and into this field. And the reason we chose it was we knew we had to pump, but the other piece is that these systems, there were some that were approved over at Forest Ridge, although I don't think they've been installed yet. Yeah, but there's literally thousands of them that have been installed in the state of Massachusetts. The Mill River Associates in Gloucester is the main distributor of them, but like I said, there's probably thousands of them in Massachusetts and many, many more across the country. So it's not, they're an approved alternative technology that DEP has reviewed and approved. They're not, they really are a proven technology. It's not something that's experimental in any shape or form. But they are a small, just a small irrigation, like a soft tubing, and it actually distributes the effluent all over the entire field. It doesn't work all that much differently than a standard system. It's just how it gets distributed and sent there, and it actually is a slow drip that drips it out over the footprint of the system. The beauty of this install is because we knew we couldn't really get the systems under this pavement. It wasn't really the ideal place to, one of the worst things you can do is put a septic system in the pavement. So we didn't really want to do that. We knew a better place to put it was on the hill, which is, number one, is outside the zone 2. But if you put in a standard system, they really have to be flat. These systems can be put in right on the, we will have to cut the trees down, but the system can literally just be placed on the hill. We don't have to do this flat terrace type of thing. So that was, very, and we knew we would have to pump to the hill, so that was kind of the reason we chose that particular system. We chose the Waterloo system because, again, we could have gone with the FAST. The costs are about the same. There's any number of systems. Essentially what they do, what the treatment systems do, to jump back to that, is they just provide, a standard septic tank provides for anaerobic activity. There's no oxygen in that. Almost all the treatment systems you have, essentially what they're doing is they're providing for a way to aerate so that you have anaerobic activity, but you also have some aerobic activity. So that, and in the case of the Waterloo, they actually, it's like almost like a Nerf material, like Nerf balls. They're not balls; they're actually cubes, and they're able to get oxygen down into those, and it gives a place for the bugs to grow, and it provides one part of the chamber is more like a standard septic tank, and then that Nerf section where they get oxygen into is where the aerobic activity takes place. That gives it added treatment and it helps reduce the nitrogen. So those are the systems we have. There is no effluent coming from either one of these buildings that should be anything other than common human waste and maybe some coffee grounds on occasion. There isn't, like I said, there aren't laboratories that will be dumping any chemicals or any, there's very strict controls on bio waste, which Marla can probably talk about if you have questions about it. But I guess that's it in a nutshell. If you have any questions for either of us, please. I do have a little handout that Marla brought. It's for these. It's more of an outline of what we actually are doing. So there's 4 of those there.
We have this in our packet. We do.
Oh, you already have
We
that?
have these already.
Oh, you got that. Okay. I didn't realize you got it.
Any questions?
Charlie, just one question about the ZBA application for the daycare and what was submitted with.
Speak up, Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, Frank. I think the ZBA talked about 75 occupants, and we're talking about 59 under the setback.
Yeah, the ZBA, 11 employees, 54 students, I'm sorry, 64 students, and then the septic design was for 59 people.
It was 59 total,
Yeah.
right, and those numbers are correct. The numbers that are under there's been changes that have gone on since we were dealing with what the daycare said they needed when they first approached us. They actually told us they need less even than the 59, but I went with the 59 because I wanted to match the size of the system. So that what's in this filing is correct, not what was in the planning board, the ZBA filing issue.
And, I thought you
I-
say something.
yeah, but if you have another item, I can.
Well, no, I was going to say, no kitchen in the medical building, right?
I think there might just be
Yeah, there is.
Just
uh,
a
station that
different-
gets some.
Microwave, toaster
Yeah.
oven,
Yeah.
to that extent, but no
Stoves.
stoves.
Just like a common, what you'd see in an office building.
What about
There's a
any
reception area.
any
Big
shower
area.
facilities?
No.
We haven't planned for that, no.
And what about runoff from the site going north towards the highway?
Yeah, I can certainly get into the whole system if you like. If you could back out of this a little bit, and
Yep.
I can walk you through the stormwater management system. Yeah,
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's probably fine.
Make it a little bigger if you.
Yeah, maybe about 30,
35?
35? Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah, perfect. Okay. The site is, the Hunsley Hill is here, and there's actually the site actually splits, it bifurcates. There's a pipe, which is right here, that comes down and goes under Havel Street, goes into a stream, which flows off to the north. And then this wetlands right here, which actually flows back and goes under Route 1, goes down near the McDonald's and goes back under Route 1. So the site actually splits right about here, and the split line goes right up Hunsley Hills. So the runoff comes off the hill and runs, into this pipe and runs to that pipe and goes each way. So what we've done with our design is we've stayed with that essentially with that concept. And this building and this parking and this building, they drain back into here into an infiltration system. There's treatment in the deep sump catch basins, and then we also have another structure. It's called a storm scepter, which is a vortechnics unit. So there's pre-treatment to the stormwater before it gets to this infiltration basin. And the infiltration basin is really the primary treatment for the water at the back of the site, and that gives us an 80% removal TSS removal rate, which is required under the DEP stormwater management standards. To the front of the site, this parking field runs, and there's a grassy strip between that and when you see this basin. This is a rain garden, or a bioretention, really the same thing they call that. And the stormwater runs into that bioretention basin, and that's a planted basin. It'll actually look like a landscape feature, because it's very shallow. It'll only, even in the biggest storms, there'll only be 12 inches of water in it. In the average, say an average downpour, there shouldn't be more than about 6 inches of water in it. And there's 2 feet of planting media, and then there's a lot of vegetation that grows in that. Between that planting media and the nutrient uptake that the plants give you, it's called a bioretention area, or a rain garden, either way. And the DEP recommends those over any other BMP. You get a 90% removal rate from that rain garden. The water that runs through the rain garden, some of it will infiltrate into the ground. Probably most of it gets captured in an under drain. It gets directed into the pipe, which I described earlier, which goes down and underneath the roadway. So that's really, we've given the side of the site that's heading for the well, we've given it the highest form of treatment for stormwater that it can possibly get. And the rest, like I said, the rest of the site does go to the back, and that also, that's good treatment as well. This one gives us 90% removal rates, and this one gives us 80% removal rates. But they're both good, and they both meet the standards that are required under Mass DEP.
What about the maintenance, say, of that swale?
Sure.
Because it's no good if it isn't maintained.
Yep. It's I mean, again, it's a rain garden. The way you can tell it's not, if it's not being maintained correctly, is the plants in it will die. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be, the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board, there's a strict maintenance program and inspection program that gets worked into the conditions that the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board will grant, and there's written maintenance on that. It gets inspected at least annually, semi-annually, and if you see the plants dying, you see sediment building up on them, then you remove the sediment, you redo the plants. That's all pretty standard for that stuff. The great thing about the rain gardens is they are very, very easily maintained. Any sediment that might build up in the surface can be easily removed. The other great thing about the rain gardens is because they look like a landscape feature and they're right at the front of the building, you want them to look nice. You know, the owners are gonna, you know, if you start getting any dead plants in there, they're gonna want to replace them. They're going, so there's a, you know, there is a, you know, a lot of times catch basins, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. In this case, this is right in front of the building, so, you know, so I think it's gonna, you know, it's gonna lead to a more aggressive maintenance of this than normal.
How do they remove nutrients, say, from October to April, when the plants aren't active?
Yeah, you won't actually. I mean, in the wintertime, the ground is generally frozen. So it doesn't, you don't get that nutrient uptake when the ground is frozen.
So it just has to make up for it in the growing season?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the same is true, for example, of, you know, of just everywhere else in the wintertime. The ground is frozen. There's not much nutrient, in fact, there's not much infiltration and nutrient uptake at all on any other surface. You know, this area in the wintertime right now, once that frost gets in the ground, even though it's wooded, essentially it acts not much differently than a paved surface. That's why in the spring, that's why we get those bad floods in the spring, because you have that thaw, the ground still has that frost in it, and you get a rainfall on top of that, and that's when you get those Mother's Day storms, things like that. Those occur when that frost is still in the ground. So you're right, they don't function during those winter months, but nothing else is functioning in those winter months either. So.
More questions, Frank?
Yeah, I do. So the future medical use that you have on there, that's going to be for the 12 doctors?
Yes, it's
But
all
it's
just
just
part
not-
of the same thing.
So
Yeah.
when do you think you'll have that?
I don't know when that'll happen. In fact, it may not even happen. There may be a different use that goes in there. That's, you know, I think that's something that's still being negotiated. I think it's, in the long term, they'll see how this phase one goes, but if it goes well, then they may take that over with more doctors in there, and if they don't, then we'll be back to see you folks with a different use. But that is the plan right now. But we don't, John, am I answering that accurately?
Yeah, I think you are. Early on, when we had negotiations with the doctor.
Sir, could you just identify
Yeah,
your
sorry about that.
name
Yes.
and
I'm sorry, my name is John Coughlin with Gateway Realty Trust. Early on with our negotiations with the doctors, they thought they wanted to take this is how the building was configured, the entire 13,000 feet. Right now, we will pull building permits to build out just 10,000 and leave approximately 3,000 undone. We'll shell it and leave it alone. The doctors are contemplating whether they want to take it or they don't want to take it, and we'll come to some arrangement with them to take it, or else we'll look to lease it to somebody else. That's pretty much where we're at. However, if indeed we get that far and get through all the boards, which is an ongoing saga, we will pull a building permit for that building, shell only, for the 13,800, whatever it is, feet, with only finishing 10,000 feet. The doctor count has been figured in the information that Charlie used to compile the design that's before you, on the eventuality the doctors would take the whole thing.
could you just talk to us a bit about the proposed daycare
Sure.
facility? What, is that,
Do you wanna,
is that gonna be, is that a part of your application to?
it is, it is.
There's a floor plan if you want.
Well, let me, if I start the system.
Yeah,
or-
no, go ahead,
That's
Bill,
fine.
you do a much more
I'll
elegant
wait.
job speaking than I
I'll
do.
wait.
It is included, like I said, I think it's 59 occupants, that includes the students and daycare providers. And the code, Title V is pretty straight ahead on that one, 10 gallons per day per person in the building. And that's where and that is covered under the permit that we filed for. I think it's, actually, well, we can jump forward to it if you want, but I think there's, in fact, yeah, why don't we jump? I think if you,
Is it part
it's
of,
actually a different plan.
Image?
Yeah, it's a different image.
all right, let me, which one?
Yeah, I think, daycare, that second
Oh,
one from the top. There you go.
Yep,
And why don't you click the arrow, excuse me, sorry, Mom. Yeah, I see, the rooms, I see infants, toddler slash preschool, and then preschool, and I see pre-kindergarten. So that's, there is it's an office and, the usual bathrooms, utility, the small kitchen. Again, just something small. I think it's probably just a refrigerator and I don't think there's a stove in there. In fact, I know there is not a stove. Just enough for coffee and we warm up some muffins on occasion or something. So, there's an office, but it's a pretty straight ahead daycare. I think John is always, I think daycare is already in town. It's over.
Yeah, the daycare that is, we negotiated a lease with the daycare is already in town, they're just right across the street on Route 1. You go into the side access road to Market Basket, and there's the outbuildings that aren't part of the actual Market Basket
We're on the
shopping center.
left there.
Yeah, it's, they're right in there right now. They, and all they're gonna do is relocate over to this facility.
more questions?
A couple.
Right?
The Perk-Rite drip portion of the system,
Yeah.
it's a very shallow, it's about a foot deep, I think. Is
It's
that-
about a foot deep, that's correct.
Are you, any concerns about the winter time with that?
Yeah, that's interesting. There were actually, there was some freezing in the systems 2 years ago. But I think again, I know I spoke with the owner of, they call it Millwright, Perk-Rite. He said it was like 800 or 1,200 systems, I think, that are in Massachusetts. They had 1 or 2 freeze, and there was an issue with that. The ones that froze were both in situations where they had been plowed off, and they hadn't been properly. One of the things that happens when it snows on them, and in this case, the snow should stay, it's on the north side, it actually provides it actually acts as insulation. So I think that, given that this is on the north side of the hill and where it is, I don't think there will be, the incidents of freezing are very, very small. And given this location, I don't think there will be a problem.
And what is the feedback mechanism that you would know, or the owners would know that it's failed for freezing, say? How does that, is there an alarm? Or
There's an alarm system if it's actually pressure generated. There's a pump chamber here, and if that were frozen or failed or anything like that, there would be an alarm system that would go off, and it's I believe it's a dialer that goes to the owner and says you've got a problem with your system, you better check it. The other thing about the system that's worth noting on this, because of the treatment that we have in the front end, the Waterloo system, is this actually gets inspected quarterly. Without that system on the front end, it doesn't need to be inspected as often. I think it's only annually. So this system will get a much higher level of inspections than just a standard system.
Okay. Frank?
Yeah, more question.
No, that's fine. That's what.
There was an irrigation well on the
Yeah, I don't.
property.
Yeah, do you know? I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Do you?
I think when the property got split, John, do you know which?
Do you know an irrigation well on that site?
No, there's monitoring wells.
There's monitoring wells for.
Because to the best of my knowledge right now, there's no irrigation wells on the site. There is, on the 406 site, and there's 2 over on this site, there's a total of 6
Yeah,
monitoring wells.
There's monitoring wells, there's one here, there's 2.
And that was
One,
for
two,
the,
3, 4.
for the trouble that was with that building there, with
No,
our public water supply? Is that the purpose for those monitoring wells?
They were done, in a, again, cut it.
No, go right ahead, Charlie.
They were done, that when John bought the property, there was, I guess years and years ago, before John bought the property, there was a cleanup that was done. And it was, I guess it's arguable about whether contamination was coming from this building or from the McDonald's site or the gas station, but there was a cleanup that was closed out with DEP. When John bought the building, he came in to rehab it, and one of the things that the Conservation Commission was very concerned with, hey, is this thing still got a clean bill of health? And we said, well, it's been closed out with DEP, but the Conservation Commission said, let's make sure. So John, at considerable expense, had these wells put in, even put a well over here near the on the side, near the pump house, and did testing, and everything came back clean. So, and I think that John did. He made us do it again when we went through a second round on.
Well,
this, I think.
to back up a little bit, giving the board a little bit of misinformation.
Okay.
The previous owner took a bum rap. He got written up by the state. After he spent thousands of dollars, he came out clean. Contamination wasn't coming from his site. Prior to us, we were concerned about it prior to us buying the property. We went through his 21E, brought our own guy in, and he concurred with everything they found. Now you fast forward, we buy the site, we want to demo the house that's there and do a little remodeling to that building. We hit the local boards. We got a contaminated site there. Whoa, wait a second, we got no contaminated site. Well, we're not buying that you don't have a contaminated site. So we bring another 21E firm on. They do a complete, which led us up to 5 or 6 monitoring wells. Went through the whole thing, came back whistle clean. No evidence of past, future, or any contamination. So and that was a big issue with the doctors when we, in negotiation with them, to run them through the paper chase of the past history on the site where we are today. The monitoring wells do get checked and they continue to come back clear.
So maybe that's what
Yeah.
unless when you do something about it.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It didn't come from that site, they were, nope.
Any more questions, Frank?
The hours of the medical building, is it going to be extended hours beyond?
Typically 8 to 5.
8 to 5.
You know, if the urgent care goes through that,
Yeah.
probably be
So that'd be a 24/7.
I know, what's that?
Yeah, I mean, no, actually, we typically, most of our sites that offer extended hours is 7 to 7. Latest, you can see one of our offices was 8 o'clock. But it would be expanded to 7 days. For the most part, 8 to 5.
It's not a Board of Health issue, but I have heard in talking to people from town that there's great concern about traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any brainstorms as to how you can improve that or not
Yeah, we've met-
exacerbate it?
Yeah, we've met with the police chief, and, you know, everybody in town knows it's a pretty good traffic issue right there. We met with the police chief, we've had a very good discussion with this issue with the planning board, and we've hired a traffic engineer. And actually, I just saw that his draft report, I just saw it come across my email tonight, so hopefully they'll have something back to the planning board soon on that. I think the basic thing is that I've sat and watched this, so I'm not a traffic engineer, I'm just a site guy, but I dabble in traffic engineering. I've sat there and watched that light too. The interesting thing about it is north-south, the green, and I'm told it varies sometimes depending on what the traffic is. Sometimes the green is triggered, but when the green is when it's under its most stress, which is when I've gone out there and watched it, the north-south green lasts about a minute, and and then the east-west of Havel Street, which in my eyes gets most of the traffic, is only 30 seconds long. I think the solution to this is just gonna be retiming that light. We're gonna look to and see if maybe we can do a turning lane there, but we may not be able to, there might not be enough space there to do that. But the main thing I did to mitigate for the traffic, I think, is gonna be trying to retime that light, so. Because everybody in town knows there's a problem.
Oh, yeah. Anything more, Frank? Does anyone in the audience have any question?
I know you didn't hit on janitorial services, and I know they will be having gray water and chemicals, and I just wondered, would that be filtered out in that system you have?
Yeah, I mean, that's a known, you know, we can use, certainly there'll be cleaning chemicals, but they won't really, I mean, there'll probably be a little bit more, you know, bacterial, you know, aim than just the average office.
Right.
But no, I don't see that as being an issue, as a problem. I think we can work with them to choose some products that will not contaminate the septic system, make it
And for the
right.
most part, the wipes that are used are disposed in the biohazard bin.
Right.
And those wipes are what used to wipe down that, but as far as the janitorial supplies, I mean, we would have control over using the products that would be, you know, preferred
Yeah,
use.
mostly thinking of floor washing and mopping and then
Right.
dumping
We
your
would-
buckets and
Right.
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Do you know of a Waterloo system used in a medical facility like this anywhere else?
I don't. I could find out, but I don't off the top.
It'd be interesting to see if there's been experience.
Yeah, I'm sure there has been. The Waterloos they're used all over the country. They're not, I'm sure they've been used for that before.
If you could find that out for us.
Sure.
then just- Any more questions?
I think that's it.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
Okay, thanks for having us. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
And
It's always good to
if
see you
we,
guys.
we'll have more questions and issues and we'll get it right to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
When are you thinking of making a formal proposal?
Well, we've already.
Oh, it's our, oh, that's
Yeah.
right, the time is
Yeah,
clicking.
we just got it, but we just.
So that's why this was great. It was timely, because now,
Yeah.
Frank has heard, we can backfill any other questions that Frank has.
Well, we'll get to them, we'll get you them quickly.
Yeah, so, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Frank, good to see you again.
Yeah.
Tell
Tell
Wendy.
yes.
Yeah, I said hi.
I will. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. See you later.
Yep.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
Thanks,
Don't
Aaron.
forget your purse, Mary Ellen.
Oh,
that
that would
yours?
be handy. I'd be back. I would be back, especially since the car keys are in it.
Oh.
You have to walk home and walk back.
Yeah, I would.
All right, let's zip right on to mosquito control update.
Yep. Well, we're into the season, as you all know. Just a little, it's still early, but I'll give you a little update what's been going on. We did receive letters from 8 residents about excluding their property from green sprays, so those are on file.
Excuse me?
Only 8.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no, just 8. The first application of the salt marsh was done on May 12th, 400 acres, done in the morning, between 8 and 9 in the morning. All the catch basins in Raleigh were treated on May 16th this year. That's done in coordination with the highway department, which should be good for the entire season. They check it again in the fall. If they need to do it again, they do, but they're using some new products that they feel will be enough for the whole season. Then there was another aerial application on June 8th. Also, again, 400 acres done on the morning of June 8th. So, that's going to be going on all season, and just continue to monitor it, and as they need it, and weather dependent, they'll.
On the salt marsh.
On the salt
And this is
marsh.
the larvicide.
Larvicide only.
Yeah.
Very low, only over the salt marsh, not only over any residential areas. And this past week, was the first week of testing for the season. So far, so good, but it's early, so of course, we're going to be monitoring that every week and
Yep.
getting feedback from mosquito control to see what they recommend.
And they test our traps every week,
Every week, yep.
take samples.
Yep, they go to the lab in Boston, and we get notified whatever's going on, so.
Good? All right.
Any questions on that?
No.
What about item 2, our potential fall perk
Yeah,
season?
as you know, every year we do this around this time. We talk about if you want to set a fall perk season. As of now, we do have a couple of, 1 or 2 inquiries so far. No formal applications yet, but basically we just ask the board if you want to have one. Usually we do it a month and a half, September, October. Usually we do like mid-September to the end of October, but if you even want to have one. So it's,
Well, we're running such a drought spring.
Everything's gonna look pretty good.
I think we better hold on thinking about
okay, we
a
can
fall
also
season.
talk
and-
about it at the next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if the rains come
Okay.
and we get close to normal, where we're so abnormal, then I'd be open to it. But right now, it's
Too dry.
it's real dry.
Yeah. All right, well, maybe we'll bring it up at our next meeting and,
Yep,
or if you don't want to,
yep.
leave it up to you if you want to put it on the next agenda. So, okay, so we'll hold off on that.
Household hazardous waste.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Time
too
for that
early. Well,
already.
if you want to start thinking about it, there's a calendar in front of you there.
Let's see, that's in,
I've been on Frank's case to move it up so we don't stay out there and freeze. I have to
Right.
admit that.
Right now, the dates are pretty wide open for the Saturday, except for a couple in September, but we usually don't
All
do
right.
it that early anyway. But I mean, if you want to think about it some more.
well,
or
no,
if
why
you
don't
have-
we just pick one and then we can plan around it?
So let's not pick November then.
Thank you.
Oh, well, then I won't be here. It's,
That's all right.
I'm away for 3 weeks.
That's okay, we can do it.
All right, good.
Can do it.
Yep. So when do you want to do it?
Do. John, when
It's-
do you leave?
I'm here, so
Like the 22nd of October? Is Clean Harbors free then?
As of now, yeah, I'll double check, of course.
Yeah,
but,
22nd of
that's
October?
better.
So let's,
It
That's
is
way
better.
let's do that.
Because
Okay.
historically, the people at Clean Harbors who are working the site with us are saying, well, this is our last
So
one
it's-
for the
yeah.
season.
Season,
Usually the
right.
last one, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll shoot for that
Shoot
date.
for
If there's
that
any
date.
issues,
Yeah,
we'll let
that's
you know
better.
and
yeah.
That's better,
pick another one. Okay.
yeah.
We'll go with that for now.
That's no good, pick an earlier one.
Well, the trouble with that is, it's foliage season, and it's
Yeah.
football season, and people are doing things in
Yeah.
their life.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always thought we do it after that's over,
Yeah.
and that people be more open.
Yeah.
But try it this way, and we'll see if it's popular.
We also talked to.
But people do go to football games and soccer
Yeah.
games, and go to see foliage.
Well, they're at football through Thanksgiving.
Yep.
With football through February.
No, well, professional football, I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about high school sports. But give it a try.
Yeah, and also, people have summer projects and fall projects with, paints and stains and pesticides and things, so, a lot of times when
Stand
that's,
outside.
yeah, but it is, I mean,
I mean, it's
Wait till
over,
late
it's
November,
over, but it's
isn't
over
it?
at noon.
yeah.
That leaves plenty of day.
No, I mean, as far as like, you'll have leftover waste that you
Oh.
won't get rid of.
Get rid of it. But
But,
anyway, if I'm outvoted, that you guys are wimps,
Yes,
and you can't take the cold,
I at least am a bit being.
we'll go the 22nd.
Okay, we'll shoot for that.
Let's try that.
Let's try, I'll check
I'm
on the
for
date.
that,
and,
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the review of bills.
yeah.
I should do New Dodge Day.
Kurt, K-U-R-T.
Awesome.
He's a really good dog.
I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Come by anytime. I'm home tomorrow.
I am too.
Lucky guy.
You wanna start taking babysitting lessons, I can line you up.
No.
No? Okay.
July party is gonna be July 3rd.
We're having one for families, and I don't know when that's gonna be. I'm not in charge of anything.
Well, you're invited to ours on the
Okay,
3rd.
you're likewise. I don't know when ours is. Ours may be actually the 4th.
4th. Good, hope
So
so.
I might get into party.
Let's see, this is done.
Done.
One more.
Is that under the department?
Oh, this is approval to be so.
It's for the new fiscal year. Just that one that was told you to sign. And the rest I can take care
Okay.
of.
All right, and that one's done,
Yes.
and that's it. And next are minutes.
Yeah, we don't have them quite ready yet.
Oh.
We've been very
They're
swamped
moments,
last.
right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we tried to actually get them done today, and we unfortunately didn't finish, so if it's okay, we can hold them till the next meeting?
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Next meeting.
Next meeting date. Well, let's see, it's mid-June.
Oh, I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Which of us goes off the board this year?
John,
I did,
Oh, okay.
and I'm back.
You're back. Wonderful.
Well,
So next year, so it's probably me
Me,
next
I
year.
think.
I forget, I'll have to.
you will have met the mandatory retirement age by
I
then.
have met every mandatory retirement.
Well, you'll have to, well, anyway, we'll
We'll
talk
worry
about
about
that.
that when
When's
you-
the next meeting? Let's see, shall we say the end of July? And then we would jump
Sure.
right into the September? So we'd have one midsummer meeting?
Sure.
And that would be, is there a July calendar? Oh, no, that calendar isn't all that.
No.
But we have this, so July, well, there's the 18th and the 25th. Any,
No
oh,
preference.
maybe the 25th, so
No
it's about a
preference.
month,
Whatever, that's fine.
okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see what comes in, and
Right.
if we need to adjust, we can
Yep.
adjust. Okay.
Concerns of the board?
I have none.
Any other concerns about this proposal that you want us to relay to the engineer as far as the septic goes?
This is
or-
done. They have a generator, don't they, in case the lights go out, so that the pump can still work? They must.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, we'll find that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure they close
Sure
down,
they-
I mean, nothing can run.
Right.
I mean, they can't be
Right.
open if they have no
But if it happens
electricity.
in the night,
Or we can ask that question
Yeah.
slowly. I believe there is, but I'll,
it's a girl question. I was working.
so
Very
we'll
good.
continue to work with Charlie on
Yeah,
a few
Uh,
other things that we've talked about.
I have a quick question. What hospital are they associated with, Partners? Is it the Mass General place on Endicott Street? Or-
No, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know too.
good call.
I don't know what it is.
Right, it's gotta be, I mean, yeah.
Because they're done with Leahy, and Beverly is Leahy, I think. I meant to ask that. I just remembered it again. I don't know who they
In the past, when we had the two doctors in town, one was with Beverly Hospital, and
Right.
the other was with
Newburyport,
Jake's. Yeah,
right.
but that's a good question.
So then we'll probably get these little medical wars that go
Well,
on. Get more doctors.
Their associations are scrolling across
Oh,
the top banner.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Top
you.
banner is a whole bunch of affiliations.
good, I'm glad you're here.
Nantucket Cottage Hospital. Neighborhood Health.
Well,
Golden
anyway,
General was in there, Beverly Hospital was in there.
well, can I have a motion to close?
Well, John Melcher, I move to close tonight's meeting of June 20th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, it's everybody, Spalding, Mass General,